How my best friend stole my inheritance. I still remember the exact moment my stomach dropped. I was sitting at the lawyer's office, waiting to go through the final paperwork for my grandmother's estate. She'd been the closest person in my life, closer than my parents, closer than anyone. And before she passed, she had told me directly, "Don't worry, I've made sure you're taken care of." But when the lawyer slid the documents across the desk, I froze. My name wasn't there. Not on the house, not on the savings account, not on the life insurance. Everything, every single thing was signed over to her. My best friend. The same best friend who had sat with me at the funeral, holding my hand while I cried? The same best friend who told me she'd help me through the paperwork and take the stress off my shoulders? The same best friend who promised me she'd always be there for me? The lawyer kept talking, but I couldn't hear him. My ears were ringing. All I could see was her handwriting, her neat, perfect signature on papers that should have been mine. I looked at her, sitting calmly next to me like she had every right to be there. She didn't flinch, didn't look guilty, didn't look surprised, just smug. That was the moment I realized she had stolen my inheritance. But how? How had she done it? And more importantly, how long had she been planning this? The beginning of it all feels so much smaller now, but maybe that's how betrayal works. It starts with whispers and ends with a scream. My Gran raised me more than my own parents did. They were too busy, too caught up in themselves. So when Gran got sick, I practically moved in with her. My best friend, let's call her Sarah, was always around too. She'd been my closest friend since middle school. She knew everything about me, and by extension, everything about my grandmother. At first, it was sweet. She'd bring soup, sit by Gran's bedside, even help with chores. My family loved her. "You're lucky to have a friend like that," my mom would say, and I believed it. But little things started to happen. One night, I came back from the pharmacy with Gran's meds and overheard Sarah whispering to Gran. She was saying something about not letting anyone take advantage of you. I didn't think much of it at the time. I figured she was just being protective, the way I was. Then Gran's will came up. We were sitting in the kitchen, and Gran mentioned she needed to update it. Sarah jumped in before I could say a word. "Don't worry, I know a good lawyer. I can help set it up." I didn't question it. Why would I? She was my best friend. Looking back, that was the first crack, but I ignored it, because Gran seemed to trust her, because I trusted her. Weeks later, paperwork started showing up in the mail. Sarah was always the first one to grab it, saying she'd organize it for Gran. She'd flip through the envelopes, tuck them neatly into folders, and tell me, "Don't worry, I've got this handled." And like a fool, I let her do it. I thought I was being helped. I thought she was taking some of the burden off me so I could focus on caring for Gran. But really, she was tightening her grip. The night before Gran passed, she made me promise one thing. She took my hand, her skin so thin and frail, and whispered, "I want you to have the house. It's yours. Don't let anyone take it from you." At the time, I thought she was just reassuring me. I didn't know she was warning me. And when I found out everything was gone, every single thing, I remembered those words. Don't let anyone take it from you. But it was already too late. And the worst part, when I confronted Sarah outside the lawyer's office, she just smiled and said something I'll never forget. She said, "You should have paid closer attention." I couldn't breathe when she said it. "You should have paid closer attention." It was like being punched in the chest. I wanted to scream right there in the parking lot, but the lawyer's office was just behind us, and my head was spinning too fast to form words. All I could manage was, "What did you do?" Sarah didn't answer. She just walked to her car, heels clicking on the pavement, like nothing had happened. I stood there shaking, clutching the empty folder the lawyer had given me, as if something, anything, would magically appear inside. That night, I tore through every drawer, every old file box in Gran's house, looking for something, a copy of her will, a letter, a note, proof. But the only papers I found were bills, recipes, and Sarah's neat, careful handwriting on sticky notes stuck to every cupboard and cabinet, reminders she'd left while helping. The next morning, I went to my parents. I told them what happened, my voice breaking as I explained that the house, the savings, even Gran's jewelry, everything was now in Sarah's name. But instead of outrage, I got blank stares. "Are you sure?" my mom asked, sipping her coffee, like I was overreacting. "Maybe your grandmother really wanted it that way." "I told you," I snapped. "She told me she was leaving me the house. She made me promise not to let anyone take it from me." My dad folded his arms. "And do you have proof of that conversation?" I stared at him stunned. "She was dying. Do you think I pulled out a tape recorder?" My mom sighed. "Honey, Sarah has always been helpful. Maybe your grandmother saw her as another grandchild." That cut deeper than I expected. Sarah wasn't family. She wasn't blood. She wasn't the one holding Gran's hand at 3 a.m. when the pain wouldn't let her sleep. That was me. Me. And yet, everyone seemed to be ready to believe that Sarah deserved it more. Over the next few days, I tried to call Sarah. She ignored me. Texts went unanswered. Then I saw something that made my blood boil. She posted on Instagram a smiling picture of her in front of Gran's house, my house, with the caption, "New beginnings. Always trust the universe." The comments were full of congratulations. Friends saying things like, "So proud of you," and "You deserve this." I wanted to claw the screen in half. I finally sent her a message. "This isn't yours. Give it back. Gran wanted me to have it." For the first time, she replied. One line. "Try and prove it." The rage inside me burned so hot I couldn't think straight. But beneath the anger, something colder took root. Fear. Because I realized, maybe for the first time, that she wasn't just cruel. She was calculated. And I had no idea how deep her plan went. So I started digging. And that's when I discovered something I wasn't supposed to find. Something that proved Sarah had been planning this for a long, long time. The discovery didn't come from a lawyer, or even from the house. It came from Sarah's own mistake. I was scrolling late one night, numb, half hoping for something to distract me from the weight in my chest. That's when I saw it. A tagged photo on Facebook. One of Sarah's friends had posted it weeks earlier, but I had missed it at the time. The picture was of Sarah at dinner with some people I didn't recognize. She was laughing, wine glass in hand, and on the table in front of her was a stack of papers. Legal papers. My grandmother's will. I zoomed in until the words blurred. I couldn't make out the details, but I recognized the date. It was before Gran passed away. Weeks before. And then my stomach twisted. Because in the comments, someone had written, "So glad the plan worked out. Can't wait until you finally get what you deserve." The plan. She had been planning this. With other people. And I had been blind. The next day, I went to the lawyer's office again. I demanded to see the original will. At first, the receptionist told me it wasn't possible. "You're not listed as a beneficiary," she said, almost gently, like she was trying to soften the blow. But I pushed. I begged. Finally, she let me into the file room under supervision. And there it was, my grandmother's will. The paper was clean, the ink fresh, too fresh. The signature at the bottom was hers. Sort of. Except it wasn't. I'd seen my grandmother's handwriting thousands of times. On birthday cards, on sticky notes left in my lunchbox, on recipes scribbled in pencil. Her signature was always a little shaky, a little uneven. This one was smooth. Too smooth. I whispered, "She forged it." The receptionist gave me a sharp look, as if I'd said something I wasn't supposed to. I quickly shut my mouth. But my heart was pounding. I left the office with my hands shaking, head spinning, but one thing clear in my mind. Sarah hadn't just stolen my inheritance. She had forged documents, she had lied to everyone, and somehow she had convinced the system to play along. That night, I went to the house again. I sat in my car across the street, watching the light in Gran's old bedroom. Sarah was inside, moving around like she belonged there. She was walking through my memories, my childhood, my promises. And I realized something terrifying. If she was bold enough to do this, to steal an entire inheritance with forged documents, what else was she capable of? I thought I'd hit rock bottom, but I hadn't. Not yet. Because the very next morning, I received an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photo. It was me, sitting by Gran's bedside in her last days, holding her hand. But across the photo, in red marker, someone had written, "You already lost." When I pulled that photo from the envelope, my blood went cold. I dropped it on the table like it was burning my skin. How did Sarah even get that picture? I never posted it online. It was private, something I'd taken on my phone during one of Gran's rough nights. That means someone had either hacked me or been close enough to take it themselves. I felt sick. I called Sarah immediately, voice shaking. "What the hell is this?" I screamed the moment she picked up. There was silence on the other end. Then in that calm, smug tone of hers, she said, "Now you're starting to understand." And she hung up. The paranoia set in fast. I started checking my locks twice, 3 times a night. Every time I walked past a window, I swore I saw movement outside. My phone began glitching. Apps opening on their own, text messages disappearing. Was it her, or was I just losing my mind? I tried going to the police. I showed them the photo, explained everything. The forged will, the threats, the stolen inheritance. The officer behind the desk leaned back, unimpressed. "Do you have proof?" he asked flatly. I shoved the photo at him. "This is proof." He shook his head. "All this proves is someone mailed you a picture. Without hard evidence of forgery, we can't pursue this." I wanted to scream. Instead, I walked out, humiliated, clutching that photo like a madwoman. That night, I sat on the floor of Gran's old living room, the one that Sarah now claimed was hers, and I remembered her last words again. "Don't let anyone take it from you." But someone already had. And then out of nowhere, a thought hit me. Gran used to keep a journal. She wrote in it almost every night, even when her hands were shaky and the words barely legible. She always said, "This is my way of keeping the truth safe." If that journal still existed, maybe it could prove everything. I tore through the house looking for it. Closet shelves, under the bed, even in the attic where the dust made me cough until I gagged. Hours passed. Nothing. I was about to give up when I remembered something. Gran used to hide things in plain sight. So I went back to her bedroom, opened the drawer of her nightstand, and started pulling out the piles of tissues, old receipts, and faded greeting cards. At the very bottom, tucked under a stack of crossword puzzles, I found it. Her journal. My hands shook as I flipped through the pages. At first, it was just normal stuff. her day, her thoughts, how tired she was. But then I found an entry dated only 2 weeks before she died. The words were shaky but clear. Sarah keeps bringing me papers. She says it's to make things easier for me, but something feels wrong. I told her the house goes to my name. That's what I want. But she insists we sign other documents. I'm scared I'm being tricked. I froze. Proof. Real proof. But just as I clutched the journal to my chest, a sound echoed through the house. A door creaked open. Someone else was inside. The creak of that door sliced through me like a blade. My whole body froze. I was still holding Gran's journal to my chest, heart pounding so loud I swore whoever was in the house could hear it. "Hello?" I whispered, even though I already knew who it had to be. No answer. Just the slow shuffle of footsteps down the hallway. I backed into the corner of the bedroom, clutching the journal like a weapon. My breath came in shallow bursts. The shadow stretched across the floor first, long and sharp under the crack of light. Then the figure stepped in. Sarah. She didn't even look surprised to see me there. Her lips curled into a smile. Calm, practiced, like she had been waiting for this exact moment. "You really don't know when to quit, do you?" she said, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. I held up the journal, shaking but defiant. "Gran wrote everything. It's all here. She knew what you were doing." Sarah's smile didn't falter. She took one step closer, heels clicking against the wood. "And who's going to believe you? You, the bitter granddaughter who's jealous her grandmother trusted someone else more? Or me, the girl who took care of her in her final days?" "She wanted me to have this house," I shouted, my throat raw. Sarah tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "Funny, because I'm the one living here now." Her words cut deep, but the fury inside me burned hotter than the fear. Not for long. For the first time, her smile slipped. She lunged forward, trying to snatch the journal out of my hands. We struggled, the pages ripping between us. Her nails dug into my skin, drawing blood, but I refused to let go. In the chaos, the lamp on the nightstand toppled over and crashed to the floor, the sound exploding through the room like a gunshot. We both froze. Then Sarah whispered, low and dangerous, "If you don't drop this, you won't live to regret it." My stomach dropped. Her eyes weren't just angry, they were unhinged. I realized then, this wasn't about money anymore. Not really. Sarah wasn't going to stop. She couldn't. And in that moment, standing in the ruins of my grandmother's bedroom, holding on to the last piece of her truth, I understood something chilling. This fight wasn't just about inheritance. It was about survival. Weeks later, after the fight, after the police were finally forced to take me seriously, after the journal was handed over as evidence, Sarah vanished. No court date, no apology, no closure. Just gone. At first, I thought it was over. I tried to move on, to breathe in a house that still smelled like Gran, to sleep without checking the locks 100 times. But then one morning, I found an envelope slipped under my door. Inside was a single page torn from Gran's journal, the final entry. Except it wasn't in her handwriting. It was in Sarah's. And it said only one thing. "This house will never be yours."